The timeless love of Grandma and Grandpa, a heartwarming journey. The Garden of Memories. Once upon a time, in a quaint little town filled with cheerful laughter and the sweet scent of blooming flowers, there lived a kind and gentle woman named Grandma. Every morning, as the sun peeked over the horizon, Grandma would step into her beautiful garden, a special place where every flower told a story. This garden was her sanctuary, filled with colors that danced in the light and scents that wafted gently in the air. Grandma would hum a soft tune as she carefully watered each flower. The vibrant roses whispered tales of their love, while the daisies giggled as they swayed in the breeze. But it was the delicate blue forget-me-nots that held the most precious memories, the memories of Grandpa. "Ah, my dear, sweet flowers," Grandma said softly, kneeling down to touch the petals of a forget-me-not. "You remind me of the first time I laid eyes on your Grandpa. Such a handsome young man he was." Her eyes sparkled as she spoke, the warmth of her memories wrapping around her like a soft blanket. In her heart, she carried the weight of their shared years, the laughter, the adventures, and the quiet moments spent together. Each flower in her garden represented a chapter of their love story, blooming vividly in her mind. One sunny afternoon, as Grandma tended to her garden, she spotted a familiar silhouette in the distance. It was her grandchildren, Mia and Oliver, running toward her, their faces glowing with excitement. "Grandma! Grandma!" they shouted in unison, their voices ringing like cheerful bells. "Can we help you in the garden?" "Oh, my little darlings!" Grandma exclaimed, her heart swelling with joy. "Of course, you can. Come and help me plant some new flowers." Mia and Oliver dashed over, their little hands ready to dig into the soil. As they worked side by side, Grandma shared the stories of each flower, weaving tales of love and adventure that captured the children's imaginations. "Did you know that the first rose we planted together was the day Grandpa asked me to be his wife?" she said, smiling as she recalled the moment. "He brought me a bouquet and said, 'You are the most beautiful thing that ever happened to me.'" The children listened wide-eyed, their hearts filled with wonder. They could feel the love that Grandma had for Grandpa radiating from her words, as if the flowers themselves were whispering the secrets of their romance. "Can we plant some roses, Grandma?" Oliver asked, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. "Absolutely," Grandma replied. "Let's plant a garden of love, just like ours." As they dug holes for the new roses, the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Grandma and her grandchildren laughed and played, their hearts entwined in the joy of the moment. The garden was alive with memories, and it felt like Grandpa was there with them, watching over their laughter, smiling down from the heavens. "Grandma, do you think Grandpa can see us?" Mia asked, her voice filled with innocence. "Oh, my sweet child," Grandma replied, kneeling down to meet Mia's gaze. "I believe he can. Love is like this garden, it never fades away. It grows and blossoms in our hearts, forever." As the last rays of sunlight kissed the flowers goodnight, Grandma looked around her vibrant garden, her heart full. She knew that each bloom was a reminder of a love that would never die, a love that would continue to bloom for generations to come. And so, the Garden of Memories flourished, filled with the laughter of children and the whispers of love that echoed through time. The day they met. Many years ago, before the garden was planted and the grandchildren were born, a shy girl named Grandma first met a boy who would change her life forever. The sun shone brightly that day, casting a golden glow over the town's annual fair, bustling with excitement and laughter. Grandma, then a young woman with bright eyes and dreams in her heart, wandered through the fairgrounds. The air was thick with the scent of cotton candy and popcorn, and the sound of cheerful music filled her ears. Colorful tents lined the pathways, inviting visitors to explore games, rides, and delicious treats. Maybe I'll try my luck at the ring toss, she thought to herself, gazing at the bright prizes hanging above the game booth. Her heart fluttered with both excitement and nervousness as she approached the booth. Just as she stepped up to the counter, she noticed a tall boy standing beside her, his eyes sparkling with laughter. It was Grandpa, with a charming smile that lit up his face like the sunshine. "Hello there," he said, his voice friendly and warm. "Want some help? It's all in the wrist, you know." Grandma giggled, her shyness melting away. "I don't think I'm very good at it," she admitted, glancing at the colorful rings. "Let me show you," he said, taking a step closer. With a playful twinkle in his eye, he demonstrated how to throw the ring. The ring soared through the air, landing perfectly on a bottle. "See? Easy peasy," he exclaimed. Inspired by his confidence, Grandma took a deep breath and picked up a ring. With a flick of her wrist, she threw it, and it landed perfectly on a bottle too. Her heart leaped with joy, and Grandpa cheered, clapping his hands in excitement. "See? I told you. You've got this," he encouraged her. They spent the afternoon playing games, laughing, and sharing stories. Each moment felt like magic as they discovered they had much in common. They both loved the stars, dreamed of adventures, and shared a love for ice cream. "Let's get some ice cream. I promise I'll race you to the stand," Grandpa declared, his competitive spirit shining through. "All right, you're on," Grandma replied, her heart racing with excitement. They dashed through the fair, laughter echoing around them as they raced towards the ice cream stand. With ice cream cones in hand, they sat on a bench, savoring their sweet treats. Grandma felt a warm flutter in her heart, the kind that only happens when something special is unfolding. She glanced over at Grandpa, who was animatedly talking about his dreams of sailing the ocean. "You know," he said, "one day, I'm going to travel the world and explore every corner of it. What about you?" "I want to plant a garden filled with flowers," Grandma replied, her voice soft and thoughtful. "A garden where every flower tells a story, just like this day." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and purple, Grandpa turned to her, his expression sincere. "I think that's a wonderful dream. And I'd love to hear all the stories you'll have." In that moment, amidst the laughter and the fading light, they knew something magical was happening. Their hearts danced to the rhythm of friendship, setting the stage for an incredible journey together. As the fair came to a close, they exchanged promises to meet again. Grandma watched as Grandpa waved goodbye, his smile lingering in her heart. Little did she know that this was just the beginning of a beautiful adventure filled with love, laughter, and memories that would blossom through the years. Adventures under the stars. As the weeks turned into months, Grandma and Grandpa grew closer, their friendship blossoming like the flowers in her garden. Each day was filled with new adventures, and they cherished every moment spent together. One starry night, Grandpa invited Grandma for a special outing, stargazing. "Meet me at the hilltop," he said, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "I've found the perfect spot to see the stars." That evening, Grandma hurried to the hilltop, her heart racing with anticipation. The night sky was painted with countless twinkling stars, each one shimmering like a diamond. Grandpa lay on a blanket, beckoning her to join him. "Look at that one," he exclaimed, pointing up at a bright star. "That's Orion's belt. Isn't it beautiful?" Grandma settled onto the blanket beside him, feeling the cool grass beneath her. As they gazed at the heavens, they shared stories of their dreams, hopes, and the adventures they longed to have. "What's your biggest dream?" Grandpa asked, turning to face her, his expression earnest. "I want to see the world, just like you," Grandma replied. "I want to explore mountains, oceans, and gardens filled with flowers from every corner of the earth." Grandpa smiled, his eyes twinkling. "Then we'll explore it together. I promise." They lay side by side, their fingers entwined, watching the stars dance above them. With each passing moment, Grandma felt a warmth blossoming in her heart, a feeling she had never experienced before. It was as if the universe had conspired to bring them together, filling their lives with magic and wonder. "Do you ever think about how small we are in the universe?" Grandma mused, gazing at the vastness of the sky. "Maybe," Grandpa said thoughtfully, "but our dreams make us big. We matter, even in a world so vast." They spent hours talking about their dreams, and with every word, their bond grew stronger. As the moon hung high, casting a gentle glow over them, Grandpa shared his secret. "I believe in magic," he whispered, "and I think that we are part of something special." "Magic?" Grandma echoed, her eyes wide. "What kind of magic?" "The magic of love, of friendship," he said, his voice softening. "When two hearts connect, it's the most powerful magic of all." In that moment, Grandma realized that this was not just a night of stargazing, it was the beginning of something profound. They were two souls embarking on a journey filled with love, laughter, and adventures yet to come. As the stars twinkled overhead, they made a promise to always look up at the night sky together, to share their dreams and explore the universe side by side. And as they held hands under the stars, their hearts intertwined, they knew they had found a love that would shine brightly through all the seasons of life. The trials of love. As the seasons changed and time passed, Grandma and Grandpa's bond deepened. They shared countless adventures, but as with any great love story, challenges began to arise. Some of these trials were small, like deciding on the perfect ice cream flavor, while others were more significant, like family disapproval. One warm afternoon, as they sat on a park bench surrounded by blooming flowers, Grandma's heart felt heavy. She had overheard her parents discussing their concerns about her relationship with Grandpa. They worried that he was too adventurous, too unpredictable for their sweet, shy girl. "Grandma, what's wrong?" Grandpa asked, noticing the frown on her face. "It's just. I heard my parents talking," she admitted, biting her lip. "They don't think we should be together. They think you're too wild." Grandpa's brow furrowed, but he remained calm. "I can understand their worries. But you know what? Love is about taking risks. It's about believing in each other." "But what if they never accept us?" Grandma whispered, tears welling in her eyes. "We'll face it together," Grandpa said, taking her hands in his. "I believe in us, and I believe in love. It's not always easy, but we can overcome anything as long as we stand by each other." His words soothed her heart, but doubts lingered. As time went on, misunderstandings and worries began to creep into their relationship. Grandma sometimes felt overwhelmed, and Grandpa's adventurous spirit clashed with her more cautious nature. One afternoon, while they were working in the garden, they had a small argument. Grandpa wanted to take a spontaneous trip to the mountains, while Grandma preferred to stay close to home and tend to her beloved flowers. The disagreement escalated, and soon, their voices were raised. "I just want to explore," Grandpa exclaimed, his frustration evident. "There's a whole world out there, waiting for us." "And I want to build a life together here," Grandma replied, tears brimming in her eyes. "I don't want to lose what we have." Silence fell between them, heavy and tense. They each turned away, feeling the distance grow. In that moment, Grandma felt her heart break a little, but she knew they needed to talk it through. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the garden, Grandma took a deep breath and approached Grandpa. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. "I'm sorry, Grandma. I didn't mean to upset you," Grandpa said, his voice filled with regret. "I know you love adventure, and I love that about you," Grandma replied, looking into his eyes. "But I also love our home, our garden. I want us to share both." Grandpa nodded, realizing the truth in her words. "You're right. I got carried away. I just want to make amazing memories with you." "And we can," Grandma said, smiling gently. "But let's make them together. Let's plan our adventures so we can still cherish the little things here." From that day forward, they learned to communicate better, finding a balance between their dreams and the realities of life. They discovered that love meant not only sharing joyous moments but also working through challenges hand in hand. Through their trials, they grew stronger as a couple. They learned that facing obstacles together only deepened their bond, teaching them the true meaning of partnership. The trials of love were not easy, but they proved that together, they could overcome anything. The joy of commitment. After overcoming their challenges, Grandma and Grandpa felt a newfound sense of unity and strength in their relationship. Their love had blossomed like the flowers in Grandma's garden, vibrant and full of life. It was during one enchanting summer evening that Grandpa decided it was time to take the next step in their journey together. One night, under a sky filled with twinkling stars, Grandpa invited Grandma to their favorite spot in the garden, where the roses bloomed in radiant colors. The air was sweet with their fragrance, and fireflies danced in the gentle breeze. "Grandma," he said, his voice soft and earnest, "there's something I need to ask you." Grandma's heart raced as she looked into his eyes, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. "What is it, Grandpa?" He knelt down on one knee, reaching into his pocket. "From the moment I met you, I knew you were special. You are the most beautiful thing that ever happened to me, and I can't imagine my life without you." Grandma gasped, her hands flying to her mouth in shock and joy as he pulled out a small velvet box. "Will you marry me?" he asked, his eyes shining with hope. Tears of happiness streamed down Grandma's cheeks as she nodded, unable to find her voice. "Yes. Yes, I will," she exclaimed, laughter bubbling up from her heart. Grandpa slid the ring onto her finger, and in that moment, the world around them faded away. It was as if time stood still, and all that mattered was their love. They embraced, feeling the warmth of their commitment wrap around them like a cozy blanket. As they pulled away, they looked into each other's eyes, knowing they were ready to take on the world together. "Let's tell everyone," Grandma said, her heart overflowing with excitement. We have to celebrate our love." That weekend, they gathered their families and friends in the garden, transforming it into a magical place of celebration. Colorful decorations adorned the trees, and the scent of delicious food filled the air. As their loved ones arrived, laughter and joy echoed throughout the garden. Grandma and Grandpa exchanged stories, reminiscing about their journey together and the adventures that lay ahead. They danced beneath the stars, surrounded by the warmth of family and friends who celebrated their love. "Cheers to love and commitment," someone shouted, raising a glass, and everyone joined in, their voices ringing with joy. As the night wore on, Grandma and Grandpa stole a quiet moment together, stepping away from the celebration. They found a secluded spot in the garden, where the stars sparkled above them like diamonds. "Can you believe we're engaged?" Grandma said, her eyes sparkling with happiness. "I can, because I know we were meant to be," Grandpa replied, taking her hands in his. "We'll create a life filled with love, laughter, and adventures, just as we've always dreamed." With their hearts intertwined and their dreams unfolding, Grandma and Grandpa embraced the promise of a beautiful future together. The joy of commitment filled the air around them, a magical bond that would carry them through all of life's seasons. A family grows. As the years flowed by like a gentle stream, Grandma and Grandpa built a life filled with love, laughter, and the pitter-patter of little feet. After their beautiful wedding in the garden, they settled into a cozy home where Grandma continued to nurture her beloved flowers, while Grandpa planned adventures for their growing family. One sunny afternoon, Grandma stood in the garden, her hands deep in the soil as she planted new flowers. The air was filled with the sweet fragrance of blooms, and she smiled as she thought about the joy of motherhood. "Grandma," came a familiar voice. It was Mia and Oliver, her grandchildren, bursting through the gate, their faces glowing with excitement. "Can we help you?" "Of course, my darlings," Grandma replied, beaming. "Let's plant these daisies together." As they dug holes and carefully placed the flowers into the earth, Grandma couldn't help but share stories of her adventures with Grandpa, recounting the day they met and the magical moments they had experienced together. "Did you know that these daisies remind me of your grandpa?" she said, pointing to the bright blooms. "He brought me a bouquet of them on our first date." "Really?" Oliver gasped, eyes wide with wonder. "That's so cool." "It was the beginning of our love story," Grandma continued, her heart swelling with joy. "And now, every time I see daisies, I think of him and the beautiful family we've built together." As the sun dipped lower in the sky, Grandma and her grandchildren laughed and played in the garden, weaving flowers into crowns and twirling around in circles. Their laughter echoed through the air, filling Grandma's heart with warmth and happiness. In the evenings, Grandpa would join them, sitting on the porch and sharing stories about his own childhood. He spoke of adventures in faraway lands and the lessons he learned along the way, captivating his grandchildren's imaginations. "Grandpa, tell us about the time you climbed the tallest mountain," Mia pleaded, her eyes shining. "Oh, it was quite the adventure," Grandpa began, his voice animated as he described the breathtaking views and the friends he made along the way. "But the best part was knowing that I had your grandma waiting for me at home, cheering me on." As the family grew, they welcomed new members, Mia and Oliver's little siblings, Lily and Ethan. The garden flourished with new blooms, just as their love grew with each passing day. Grandma cherished every moment, nurturing not only her flowers but also the bonds between them all. Every Sunday, they had family picnics in the garden, spreading blankets beneath the shade of the trees. They shared laughter, delicious food, and stories that echoed through the air like music. Grandma and Grandpa watched their children and grandchildren play, their hearts overflowing with gratitude. They understood that love wasn't just about the moments they spent together, it was about the legacy they were creating, a legacy rooted in kindness, laughter, and the magic of family. Through every season, their family thrived, and Grandma's garden became a symbol of their love, a beautiful tapestry of memories that would be passed down through generations. The seasons of change. As the years continued to flow like a gentle river, the seasons of life brought change, as they always do. Grandma and Grandpa faced new challenges as their children grew, but their love remained a steady anchor amidst the shifting tides. One autumn evening, as the leaves turned golden and the air grew crisp, Grandma and Grandpa found themselves reminiscing about their early days together. They sat on the porch, wrapped in blankets, watching as Mia, Oliver, Lily, and Ethan played in the garden, laughter filling the air. "Do you remember when we first met?" Grandma asked, a smile tugging at her lips. "How could I forget?" Grandpa replied, chuckling. "You were the most beautiful girl at the fair." Grandma's heart fluttered at the memory. But beneath the joy, she felt a twinge of worry. As the children grew older, she knew they would soon have to navigate their own paths, and she feared the world could be a daunting place. "Grandpa," she said softly, "what if they face challenges we can't protect them from?" He took her hand, squeezing it gently. "We've given them the roots to grow strong, and the love to guide them. They'll make their own choices, just as we did. And we'll be here for them, no matter what." But even as they reassured each other, change was inevitable. Mia and Oliver entered their teenage years, discovering their passions and interests. They spent less time at home, focusing on friendships and school. The garden, once filled with their laughter, felt quieter. One evening, Grandma noticed Mia sitting alone on a swing, her expression thoughtful. She approached her, sensing that something was troubling her daughter. "Mia, sweetheart, is everything okay?" Grandma asked gently. Mia sighed, glancing at the ground. "I just feel like everything is changing too fast. I want to hold on to the moments we have together, but it feels like everyone is growing up and moving on." "Oh, my dear," Grandma said, sitting beside her on the swing. "Change is a part of life, but it doesn't mean we lose the love we've built. Our memories are like the flowers in this garden, they bloom and grow, but they're always rooted in our hearts." Mia nodded, the corners of her lips lifting slightly. "You're right, Grandma. I guess I just need to find a way to balance everything." "That's the beauty of growing up," Grandma said, wrapping her arm around Mia. "You'll learn how to cherish the past while embracing the future." As autumn turned into winter, the garden transformed into a serene wonderland, blanketed in soft snow. Grandma and Grandpa loved this time of year. They spent cozy evenings together, reminiscing and sharing stories by the fireplace. One snowy night, as they sipped hot cocoa and watched the snowflakes dance outside, Grandma turned to Grandpa. "You know, no matter how much time passes, I will always love you." "Same here, my dear," Grandpa said, his voice warm and sincere. "Our love is timeless, like the stars in the sky." But as the winter progressed, Grandma noticed that Grandpa seemed a little more tired than usual. He often took longer naps and spent quieter moments in the garden. Concern began to creep into her heart, but she tried to remain positive. One chilly afternoon, as they walked hand in hand through the snow-covered garden, Grandpa paused and looked into her eyes. "You know, I've lived a beautiful life, and I wouldn't change a thing." Tears filled Grandma's eyes. "You're my everything, Grandpa. You've made my life so special." "We've created a lifetime of memories," he said, his voice steady. "And no matter what comes next, our love will continue to bloom." Little did they know that the coming seasons would test their love in ways they never expected, but they were ready to face it together, hand in hand, as they always had. A legacy of love. As spring returned to the garden, the flowers began to bloom, bringing with them a sense of renewal and hope. But the warmth of the season was tinged with a bittersweet shadow. Grandpa's health had begun to decline, and Grandma felt the weight of uncertainty on her heart. One sunny afternoon, as Grandma tended to her flowers, she heard a soft voice calling her name. It was Mia, her daughter, and she rushed over, concern etched on her face. "Mom, are you okay?" Mia asked, noticing Grandma's heavy expression. "I'm just worried about Grandpa," she admitted, wiping her hands on her apron. "He seems so tired lately." Mia wrapped her arms around her mother, offering comfort. "We'll be here for him, Mom. We'll make sure he feels loved and cherished." As the family rallied around Grandpa, sharing stories and laughter, Grandma felt a renewed sense of hope. They filled the house with love, creating an environment where Grandpa could feel at ease. They shared their favorite memories, retelling the stories that had shaped their lives. "Do you remember the time we went camping in the mountains?" Grandpa asked one evening, his voice soft yet filled with warmth. "Of course. You almost set the tent on fire trying to cook." Grandma chuckled, her laughter ringing like music. Grandpa smiled, the memory lighting up his eyes. "But you were right there with me, laughing and helping me clean up the mess. That's what love is, facing everything together." As days turned into weeks, the family cherished every moment spent with Grandpa. They celebrated milestones and created new memories, determined to keep the spirit of love alive in their hearts. One evening, as the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the garden, Grandma gathered her family. They held hands, forming a circle, and she took a deep breath. "Let's share our favorite memories of Grandpa," she suggested, her voice trembling with emotion. One by one, they shared their stories. Mia recalled the camping trips, Oliver spoke of the fishing adventures, and Lily and Ethan talked about the countless times Grandpa read them bedtime stories. Each memory was a thread in the tapestry of their family, woven together by love. As Grandma listened, her heart swelled with pride and gratitude. "We are so lucky to have each other. Grandpa has taught us the true meaning of love, and we will carry that with us forever." But as the days passed, Grandpa's health continued to decline. Grandma stayed by his side, holding his hand, recalling the beautiful memories they had created together. They would sit in the garden, surrounded by blooming flowers, sharing whispered conversations as they watched the sun set. One peaceful evening, under a sky painted with stars, Grandpa turned to Grandma and said, "You know, my love, I'm not afraid. I know that our love is timeless, and it will live on in our family." Tears streamed down Grandma's face as she held him tightly. "You are my heart, Grandpa. I can't imagine life without you." "You won't have to," he whispered, his voice gentle. "Just look at the flowers. They'll remind you of me, of us, of all the love we shared." And so, one quiet night, Grandpa closed his eyes, feeling the warmth of Grandma's love enveloping him like a gentle hug. He drifted off into a peaceful slumber, surrounded by the garden that had witnessed their journey together. In the days that followed, Grandma felt a profound loss. But even in her sadness, she knew that love never truly dies. It lingers in the hearts of those who remember, in the laughter of children, and in the beauty of flowers blooming each spring. As the seasons turned, Grandma tended to her garden with a renewed sense of purpose. She shared Grandpa's stories with her grandchildren, teaching them about love, kindness, and the importance of family. Years later, as Grandma stood in her garden, surrounded by vibrant blooms, she smiled through her tears. The forget-me-nots, the daisies, and the roses flourished, a testament to the timeless love she and Grandpa had shared. And as she whispered stories to the flowers, she felt his presence in the gentle breeze, knowing that their love would continue to blossom for generations to come.